In the dead of night, the unexplained comes to life. Caught on camera, these chilling encounters reveal the existence of skinwalkers, shapeshifters, and other terrifying creatures, all lurking around us. This leaked video sent the internet into a frenzy. Shaky, grainy footage from inside a hidden underground facility. The dimly lit tunnel echoed with a horrifying scream. In the distance, a massive creature stood, its twisted, unnatural form barely visible. Scientists backed away, but one remained still.
Come on. Come on.
Speaking calmly. Then, the unthinkable happened. The creature stepped forward, obeying. Its movements were unnatural, almost engineered. Was this evidence of something we were never supposed to know? The footage ended abruptly, leaving the world with more questions than answers. Dark Rake. A camper set up a trail camera for security, but what it captured was nightmare fuel. In the distance, a figure perched on a rock, its thin, bald form barely visible in the night. The way it sat, watching the campsite, felt unnervingly human, yet completely wrong. It bore an eerie resemblance to the Rake, a creature whispered about in the darkest corners of the internet. The camper was lucky. He wasn't there when it appeared, but the thought still haunts him. What would have happened if he had stayed that night? Crawling shadow. Late night walks can be peaceful, but this one wasn't. A man was heading home when an odd feeling crept in, like unseen eyes were following his every move. He brushed it off at first, but the unease only grew stronger. Then, a shadow shifted. A thin, gray figure crouched low, its body bent at strange angles. It moved in a way that wasn't natural. He stood frozen for a moment, trying to process what he was seeing. Then fear kicked in. He turned and ran, refusing to look back. Hidden creature. A bizarre video surfaced in 2014 from a remote zoo in Romania. A local exploring rural areas claimed to have stumbled upon a secretive farm, completely hidden from the world. He decided to record it, thinking he had found something unusual. He had no idea what he was about to see. Behind thick steel bars, a twisted, humanoid creature lurked. It groaned loudly, shifting toward the camera as the crowd watching in the video panicked. Then, darkness. The footage cut off, leaving nothing but questions about what was really locked away in that hidden place. Field chase. Driving through open fields at night is eerie enough, but this was different. A local was heading home when a strange sense of unease crept in, like something was watching. Then, a figure appeared. It was tall, unnaturally skinny, and it didn't hesitate. It rushed toward his car. Fear took over. He slammed the gas and sped off, refusing to look back. Later, the realization hit him. He had just seen the Rake, a creature many feared, but almost no one had actually encountered. Nightmare in woods. A group of friends wandered deep into the forest one night, the silence broken only by their footsteps. But then, something caught their eye. A humanoid figure crouched in the muddy water. At first it seemed lifeless, unmoving, but just as they began to breathe again, it stood up. Its body looked twisted, unnatural, almost as if it didn't belong in this world. Then, without warning, it let out a horrific scream that sent chills through their bones. Instinct kicked in. They turned and ran, hearts pounding, refusing to look back. Whatever they saw that night resembled something straight out of nightmares. A skinwalker, one of the most feared beings. Dark web dog. In February 2024, a bizarre TikTok video appeared, sending shivers down viewers' spines. Two friends had reportedly bought a dog from the dark web, but what arrived wasn't like any dog they had ever seen. Its appearance was wrong, unsettling in ways they couldn't explain. One of them wanted to get rid of it, but instead, they locked it in the basement. That's when things got worse. Down there, the creature said, "I want your skin." Then the footage was cut out. Since then, no updates have surfaced. Midnight Terror. A TikTok video surfaced on February 16th, 2024, showing a group of friends out for a late-night ride on their new bikes. The streets were empty, the air still. But then, something appeared on the road. At first, it was just a thin figure standing in the distance. But then, it moved. And the way it moved wasn't normal. Its limbs jerking unnaturally, its body twitching like it didn't belong in this reality. That's when one of them recognized it. It looked like the Rake. The second it took a step toward them, they didn't wait. They took off, pedaling as fast as they could, leaving whatever it was behind. But where did it come from? What was it doing there? No one knows. Rooftop Watcher. A group of friends stood outside an abandoned house, eager to explore. But before they could step inside, something caught their attention. Up on the roof, a figure with glowing eyes stared down at them. For a moment, they stood frozen. Was it a trick of the light? Before they could process it, the figure moved. It leaped forward, landing at the edge of the roof in a way that no normal creature should. That's when they realized it looked just like the Rake. This wasn't a shadow or their imagination. It was watching them on purpose. They turned and ran, leaving the house behind. Some places are better left unexplored. Hollow-eyed. A man stepped outside one quiet night to take out the trash. That's when he heard it. A distant, unsettling sound. Not quite human, not quite animal. Curiosity got the best of him. He hesitated, then slowly walked toward the noise. With every step, an eerie feeling crept over him. The sound grew clearer, almost like a voice. Then, out of the shadows, he saw it. A humanoid figure stood motionless, its hollow, dark eyes locked onto him. For a second, neither moved. Then, it vanished. It darted behind the bushes with inhuman speed, disappearing into the night. Caged Demon. A mysterious video from an unknown source left viewers confused and uneasy. It showed a humanoid figure locked away in a secret location. Its twisted, unnatural form and eerily human-like features led many to believe it wasn't an ordinary creature. Some thought it was the result of a government experiment gone wrong. Others believed someone had captured a Skinwalker and was keeping it hidden for unknown reasons. The being shifted restlessly, its pale, distorted body pressed against the walls of its confinement. No one knew where the footage came from or why it was recorded. No clear answers ever surfaced. But one thing was certain: the video spread rapidly, and the mystery surrounding it only grew stronger. Sewer Monster. Deep inside the Inula pipe system, a camera captured something no one could explain. A pale figure moved through the tunnels, its long limbs shifting in an unnatural way. The footage was eerie. Whatever it wasn't any sewer creature people had seen before. United Utilities staff had reported strange sightings for years, but this was the first real proof. Some thought it could be a lost pet or an escaped zoo animal. Others weren't convinced. Its movements were too strange. Experts analyzed the footage, trying to identify it, yet no clear answers emerged. Was it just an unidentified creature, or something far more bizarre? The mystery remains unsolved. Trail Camera Terror. trail camera meant for capturing wildlife ended up recording something far more disturbing. A thin, pale figure moved on all fours, its movements too smooth, too unnatural. As it reached the center of the frame, it suddenly stopped. Then, in one eerie motion, it turned its head. Two large, glowing eyes locked onto the camera, as if it knew it was being watched. The ghostly sight shook those who saw the footage. Many believe this was the Rake, a creature whispered about for years but rarely seen. Was it just a trick of the light, or proof of something lurking in the dark? Skinwalker Trap. A remote mountain village lived in fear of skinwalkers. Determined to help, a group of friends set up a circle of salt and placed a cloth at its center, hoping to ward off the creatures. That night, the unthinkable happened. 4 eerie figures emerged from the darkness, moving in unnatural, jerky motions. They tried to cross the circle, but something held them back. They twitched, stumbled, and hissed in frustration. The friends stood frozen, watching. Then, after countless failed attempts, the creatures vanished into the night. Crawling figure.
No, not this. I know.
Crap, not this dumb guy again.
A group of farmers was tending to the fields when something strange caught their attention. Far in the distance, a pale figure crawled through the grass. Its movements were slow, deliberate, too unnatural to be human. Even from far away, the sight was enough to send a wave of unease through them. They knew exactly what they were looking at, a skinwalker. It never came closer, never reacted to their presence. But the thought lingered. If it had, would they have made it out safe and alive?
Dude, that's the Rake. Oh god, no.
Park entity. A video appeared online, and people couldn't believe what they were seeing. A local was casually recording a quiet park when something strange happened. From behind a tree, a pale, human-like figure peeked out. It was quick, just a few glimpses, before it disappeared again. Then, the video abruptly ended. No explanation, no follow-up. Was it a skinwalker? An alien? No one knows. But those few seconds were enough to leave people wondering what else might be lurking out there. Unseen intruder. A quiet night turned into something horrifying when a home's surveillance camera caught something disturbing. At first, the footage looked normal. Then, from the darkness, a pale figure appeared, its glowing white eyes locked onto the camera. For a few seconds, it stood motionless, almost analyzing the lens. Then, without warning, it lunged, slamming against the wooden fence with unnatural force. The camera flickered. The screen distorted. When the video cleared, the figure was gone. But in the final frame before the feed cut out, its twisted face remained frozen on screen. A terrifying last glimpse of whatever had been watching. Distant stalker.
That? He's walking creepy.
Dude, that was a skinwalker. What?
Filming a landscape shouldn't be terrifying, but for this group of friends, it became something they'd never forget. While recording the vast grassland below, something strange caught their eye. A shirtless figure moved awkwardly in the distance. Its limbs were too long, its movements unnatural. The friends went silent, unease creeping over them. The way it walked, it didn't seem human. Then, just as quickly as it appeared, it vanished into the tall grass. They stood frozen, realization setting in. There was no doubt in their minds. They had just seen a skinwalker.
That was a skinwalker. What?
Follow him.
I videoed it.
Silent stalker. A bizarre video quickly spread online, leaving viewers unsettled. It was recorded near the woods, showing a black cattle standing calmly by the roadside. At first, everything seemed normal, until someone noticed something in the background. Behind one of the trees, a pale figure sat motionless. It blended into the shadows, completely still, until it started moving. Slowly, it crept forward, inching toward the cattle as if preparing to strike. Its thin limbs and unnatural unnatural posture sent chills down the spines of those watching. The footage ended abruptly. No one saw what happened next, but the few seconds of video were enough to confirm what many feared. A rake had been watching from the darkness. Net trapped. Villagers near the woods had endured enough. Every night, strange noises echoed from the trees, and livestock vanished without a trace. The culprit? A skinwalker. Determined to stop it, they set a strong net, hoping it would walk right into their trap. Hours passed, and just when they began to lose hope, it appeared. The creature moved toward the net, unaware of what awaited it. In an instant, it was caught. It thrashed wildly, twisting and shrieking, but the villagers acted fast. They locked it away, ensuring it would never haunt the woods again. Night Stalker. A late-night explorer had an experience he would never forget. While trekking through a hilly area, strange whispers drifted from behind the rocks. He hesitated, but couldn't resist. He crept forward and froze in horror. A long, pale, bald creature crouched in the shadows. Its skin stretched over a disturbingly thin frame. It looked exactly like the rake. His heart pounded. The creature hadn't seen him yet. Carefully, he stepped backward, making sure not to make a sound. Once he was far enough, he turned and walked away, never daring to look back. Hairy, towering figure.
Might actually get to capture something here.
A homeowner was sleeping peacefully when strange noises echoed from the roof. Curious, he stepped outside to check. At first, he saw nothing. Then, a low howl echoed through the night. He tensed. As his eyes adjusted, he saw them. A pair of glowing eyes locked onto him from the tree line. His breath caught. He turned to rush inside, but froze. Another set of glowing eyes stared at him, this time from the roof. A massive creature with a wolf-like face and a towering form loomed above. He didn't need a second look. He knew exactly what it was. A dogman.
Holy alright.
Vanished. On his way home through the woods, a lone traveler took a shortcut through the woods, following a familiar path. But that night, something was waiting. Standing among the trees were two small figures dressed in white. Their long, pointed ears and motionless stance sent a chill through him. They were watching. The air felt heavy. Something was wrong. Then, without a sound, they disappeared. No movement, no trace left behind. He never spoke about what he saw, but one thing was certain. He never walked that path again. Backyard visitor. Weird noises outside at night aren't unusual, but this one was different. A homeowner heard strange voices coming from his backyard. When he finally looked outside, he froze. A thin, shadowy figure stood in the darkness, its oversized eyes locked onto him. Minutes earlier, he had spotted a bright light streak across the sky, followed by a loud impact. His mind raced as he called the police, but by the time they arrived, the figure had vanished. Some say it was an alien, others think it was something else. Whatever it was gone. Tunnel's secret. This group of friends thought exploring a tunnel at night would be thrilling, so they brought a camera to record their adventure. But as they approached, an uneasy feeling crept over them. The tunnel's entrance loomed ahead, its darkness swallowing everything inside. Every small noise made them pause. Just as they were about to step in, something moved. A shadow shifted. Then it ran toward them. Panic took over. They turned and sprinted back. Their camera shook as they fled, capturing glimpses of the tunnel behind them. When they finally dared to look back, the entrance stood empty. Whatever chased them had vanished, swallowed by the darkness. Horned Stalker. Nothing seemed out of the ordinary at first. A tourist filmed his hike, capturing the trees and quiet trails. Everything looked normal until he watched the footage later. Something had been lurking in the background. Just beyond the path, a tall figure stood hidden in the shadows. Its body was twisted, and massive, curved horns rose from its head. It hadn't made a sound, it hadn't moved, but it had been watching, and no one had noticed. Silent Stalker.
Alright, set up for tonight.
Camping alone in the woods is supposed to be peaceful, but for one camper, it turned into something unsettling. While recording himself setting up a tent, he had no clue something was lurking nearby. Behind a tree, just beyond sight, a pale humanoid head peeked out. It wasn't a person. It wasn't an animal. It was something else. He only realized later, while watching the footage. The eerie figure had been there the whole time, silently watching him. It never moved closer, never made a sound. But knowing what a rake is capable of, that might have been the scariest part. Woods Watcher. Moving through the forest at night is unsettling enough, but for one local, the feeling was unbearable. He couldn't shake the sense that someone or something was watching him. When he turned around, his stomach dropped. A figure peeked from behind a tree, barely visible in the shadows. At first, it didn't move. Then, slowly, it stepped forward. Pale skin, hollow eyes, sharp limbs. The sight alone sent chills down his spine. He didn't stick around to see what it wanted. Without a second thought, he left the woods for good. Backyard horror. A late-night security camera captured something no one could explain. At first, everything seemed normal, just an empty backyard. But then, a figure appeared. It moved strangely, crawling on unnaturally long arms. Its body twisted in ways that didn't seem possible. It crept across the path before vanishing into the night. It never returned, never made a sound. But those who watched the footage all agreed on one thing. Whatever it wasn't human. Shed Shadow. While walking through the woods, a local spotted an old, abandoned shed, but something inside was moving. As he got closer, a humanoid figure suddenly rushed out, holding a rake. Before he could react, he was knocked to the ground. That same night, another sighting occurred, a similar figure staring through a house window, but by the time anyone checked, it was gone. Both encounters described the same being. Those who saw it were convinced they had come face to face with a rake. Bushes were watching. A hiker was moving through the woods when a strange voice echoed in the distance. He stopped, listening, before curiosity pushed him forward. But just as he was about to leave, something stepped out of the bushes. It was pale, humanoid, with elongated limbs. Then, without hesitation, it charged. Panic set in. He turned and ran, not stopping, not looking back. Only when he was far away did he finally allow himself to process what he had just witnessed. Bush have eyes. A backyard security camera set up near the forest captured something unsettling. Late one night, strange voices echoed in the distance. Then, from behind the bushes, a purplish head with glowing eyes slowly emerged. For a moment, it stared directly into the camera, as if it knew it was being watched. Then, just as quickly, it slipped back into the darkness. It was never seen again, but those who watched the footage had their own theories. A skinwalker, a rake, whatever it wasn't human. Shapeshifter caught. This footage left people speechless. A small animal, possibly a cat or a dog, was seen moving along a quiet road. Everything seemed normal until it wasn't. Right in the middle of the footage, the animal stretched and shifted into a human-like figure. The transformation was fast, but clear enough to terrify anyone who saw it. Some claimed it had to be a skinwalker, a creature said to take on different forms. Others refused to watch it again, too disturbed by what they had just witnessed. No one knows where the figure went after that, but the footage remains undeniable proof of something unnatural. Strange deer. A local was walking past a graveyard when he spotted a deer among the headstones. At first, nothing seemed unusual, but then he noticed its tail. It flicked back and forth, too fast, too unnatural. Something about it felt wrong. Then, as if realizing it was being watched, the deer suddenly froze. It stood perfectly still, as if it had forgotten how to move. That was enough for him. He didn't wait around to see what would happen next. Many believe skinwalkers can take different forms, and that night, he was certain he had just seen one. Raking shadows. A camper was resting in his tent when strange voices echoed through the night. At first, he ignored them, thinking it was the wind, but the sounds didn't stop. They were too clear, too unnatural. Curious yet uneasy, he grabbed his flashlight and stepped outside. As the beam swept across the bushes, it landed on something crouched low behind them. The light seemed to disturb it. Slowly, it turned, revealing glowing eyes, a bald head, and a pale, thin body. The camper's breath caught. He knew exactly what it was. A rake. For a moment, neither moved. Then, panic set in. He turned and ran as fast as he could, not daring to look back. The night swallowed the bizarre figure, but the memory of what he saw would haunt him forever. Roadside encounter. A group of friends was driving through the woods late at night when their headlights lit up a terrifying sight. A small, humanoid figure stood in the middle of the road, its thin frame frozen in the bright light. One of them, trying to be brave, stepped out to shoo it away. But before he could react, another creature appeared from behind. This one was holding a stick, moving fast, as if ready to strike. Just as things escalated, the video cut off. No one knows what happened next, but those who saw the footage never forgot it. The eerie encounter left behind more questions than answers, sparking fear and endless speculation. Shape-shifting nightmare. This farmer was walking across his land when he noticed something strange in the distance. A tall figure, wrapped in cloth, moved awkwardly, almost like it wasn't used to walking on two legs. He watched in silence until right before his eyes, it changed. Within seconds, the figure shifted into a donkey. The sudden transformation sent chills down his spine. He had heard the stories before about beings that could change shape, but seeing it with his own eyes, that was something else. Without wasting another second, he turned and ran back home. He knew exactly what he had seen. A skinwalker. Unwanted visitor. Late at night, a homeowner was startled by a faint scratching from the corner of his room. He grabbed a flashlight, turned toward the sound, and froze. A creature crouched near his bed, its pale skin stretched tightly over an unnervingly thin frame, its gleaming eyes locked onto him, and its human-like face twisted into a wide, unnatural grin. Rumors spoke of the Skinwalker cat, a creature that could shift its form to trick people. Whether it was a myth or something real, the homeowner knew one thing for sure: this thing didn't belong here. Sewer shadow. For weeks, strange noises came from the sewer near a man's house. He had seen something before, a figure that looked like an alien, and now the sounds were back. This time, he decided to investigate. He stepped closer, peering into the darkness below. The air felt colder. The sewer seemed darker than usual, like it was hiding something. Then, it happened. A shadow moved inside. That was enough. Nope. He turned and ran home, locking every door. But even after he was inside, he still felt like something was watching him. Forest Watcher. The quiet crackling of the campfire was the only sound in the night, until something strange echoed from the trees. A camper, unable to ignore it, grabbed his flashlight and headed towards the noise. As he scanned the forest, his light caught a towering, fur-covered figure lurking behind a tree. It wasn't an animal, it wasn't a person, it was something else. For a brief moment, dark eyes locked onto him. Then, as if startled, it bolted into the shadows. The camper stood frozen, realizing he had seen something few ever do. Overbook haunting.
You know, it is what it is.
Inside the rotting walls of Overbrook Asylum, a group of urban explorers moved cautiously through the dust-filled air. The silence was heavy, disturbed only by their echoing footsteps, until a sudden, sharp scream shattered the stillness. Spinning their camera toward the sound, they caught a glimpse of something moving in the shadows. A creature, thin, twisted, and crawling on all fours, lurched unnaturally across the floor. Its elongated limbs stretched in ways no human body should. Panic took over. They bolted for the exit, leaving behind the asylum's secrets. But those who saw the footage knew exactly what it resembled. A pale crawler, the rake, or something even worse. Jumper glitch. In 2017, a YouTuber's bike ride took an eerie turn when something strange leaped into his path. At first, he thought it was a dog, until he slowed down the footage. The figure was thin, unnervingly fast, and moved unlike anything familiar. Its shape was wrong, almost monkey-like, but disturbingly unnatural. And just before disappearing, it let out a noise that didn't sound animal or human. Reviewing the clip later, he couldn't shake the feeling that he had been watched the entire time. Outback lurker. Deep in the Australian wilderness, a lone explorer stumbled upon something he was never meant to see. From behind a cluster of rocks, whispers drifted through the trees. Gripping his camera, he crept forward, then froze. A creature hunched in the shadows, its spindly arms too long, its eyes black and alien-like. It turned its head, locking onto him. His breath caught. Whatever this was, cryptid, mutant, or something far more unexplainable, he didn't stick around to find out. Cave secret. Deep in an unmarked forest, a group of explorers stumbled upon something they weren't prepared for. Inside a cave, a figure sat completely still. Its oversized black eyes stared unblinking, its features strangely alien-like. The eerie silence weighed on them. Then, realization hit. This thing was looking right at them. Fear kicked in, and they bolted, leaving behind the mystery of what they had just seen. Some online claim it was just a baby owl or a small animal, but those who saw the footage weren't so sure. Water tank creeper. In a quiet Indian village, eerie noises echoed from the top of a water tank. Something or someone was up there. Locals gathered below, spotting a pale skull-like head peeking over the edge. One brave man decided to climb up. At first, nothing seemed out of place. Then a figure rose from a hole in the tank, its hollow black eyes locked onto him. His body froze before instinct took over. He turned and ran, convinced of one thing. Whatever he saw wasn't human. To this day, the strange presence atop the water tank remains an unsolved mystery. Subscriber pick. This image looks creepy and really unsettling, and the person who uploaded it even had the caption that they don't own a dog. But it's just a strange face, I think. Although it is unnerving to look at this dog, and no wonder people call this a Skinwalker dog. What do you think? Let me know in the comments.